1984 is a dystopian science fiction novel published in 1949 by British novelist George Orwell. Although mainly known for this work, Orwell had previously dipped his toes in political commentary novels in 1945 with his famous Animal Farm, a parody critic novel on communist Russia. The novel tells the story of Winston Smith, a government worker and a skeptic of the ways of his government, which are detailed throughout the novel as a dystopian, post-World War II society in an eternal three-way conflict between the world. The main points of the novel are surveillance and information control, with the ever-present and ubiquitous figure of Big Brother, the allegory of big surveillance, and with the world being constantly rewritten to fit the government's current narrative. With that being said, 1984 occupies a special space in today's political commentary.
I'm reminded of George Orwell's classic novel 1984.
New chapter to George Orwell's 1984.
That was President Trump yesterday turning into George Orwell in 1984.
Why is it that when media outlets try to talk about mass surveillance and government action, they always mention this particular novel? Not only that, but why is this novel their only reference point when it comes to political commentary? First of all, there is a point to be made about the cultural relevance of 1984. It sits very highly at the 13th place of the Times Best Novel of all time, and is and was highly rated and revered as one of the best and most frightening dystopian novels of all time. The book sold hundreds of thousands of copies and it still experiences surges in popularity today, notably around President Trump's election date in the United States. Thus, the novel is extremely popular, is a short read at around 300 pages, and fairly easy to comprehend. That might be one of the reasons why media commentators much more rarely cite other famous dystopian novels, such as Fahrenheit 451 or Brave New World. In my opinion, 1984 has picked up much traction and set down a lot of vocabulary in the English language, such as Big Brother or thought crime. Its concepts are easy to grasp and are applicable in any modern-day situation. Ironically, these concepts depict an all-encompassing information machine ready to distort information for the sake of political arguments, at the service of political power that only shows it in a favorable light. Yet it is eagerly used by outlets like Fox News commentators in 2017 to throw jabs at left-wing protests. So, 1984 can be used by anyone and at any time to describe any situation, with 1984 just playing the role of a catalyst to throw anathema without real rhyme or reason. But what about the real state of affairs? How does the world George Orwell describes in 1984 translate into today's world? Well, as for mass surveillance, there is a point to be made that we have already been living in George Orwell's 1984 for a while. Regarding China in particular, the advance of face recognition software and the social credit system is already a fate much worse than even Orwell could have predicted. Citizens live in a constant fear and pressure from the government, leaving no leeway for political dissidents or personal opinions. As foretold, an all-encompassing party entity dictates life and has the sole opinion on what is good and bad. But we don't have to go all the way to China to see traces of Orwell's prediction. In his natal country of England, in the capital of London, there are over 650,000 surveillance cameras, which is 1 for 13 citizens, all of which are to be used as court evidence in the event of a crime, but are there mostly as a threat to everyday citizens to monitor their every move. It is a reoccurring theme in Western civilizations to put their citizens under mass surveillance, usually using the argument of crime or terrorism to justify invasive privacy violations. In the US, the 2013 NSA scandal put to light by former agent Edward Snowden shows us a mass surveillance plot involving phone and internet communication as a violation of the Constitution but justified using the Homeland Security prism. In addition to that, with the advent of the internet and big data, there is now more personal data floating around the internet than ever before, which means private companies know more about your personal life than even your closest relatives. A scary fate to be sure. If this data were to fall in the wrong hands, or even in the hands of a suspicious government, it could be a serious human rights violation. All in all, 1984 is a popular dystopian novel which is used abusively by the press to commentate on any event that even closely resemble the event of the book, but still has fair ground to be called upon in today's world. Now, the question is, should it be the only dystopian novel we put our focus into? Like with Aldous Huxley's Brave New World and the engineering of babies as a serious science development in the last few years, or Fahrenheit 451's focus on denunciation and surveillance.